Writing. This is a skill set that's been very overvalued and also undervalued. You might be wondering exactly how is that possible. By the end of this video, you're going to have that question answered. But have you considered using your writing ability to make some money? And if so, are you currently doing so? If not, what's holding you back? Well, I can't answer those questions for you, but what I can do is give you 5 reasons why I decided to become a writer. And after hearing those reasons, it's my wish that it will help you decide if you want to move forward with becoming a writer or if you want to go ahead and push back and pursue something else. As someone who has written the best-selling book, The Anatomy of Financial Success, I can personally tell you it offers a lot of rewards, but it's also a lot of work too. So we're going to go into those reasons now, so stay tuned. With that being said, I'm going to share with you what inspired me to become a writer. Then we're going to get into those 5 reasons why I became a writer and why I'm hoping it'll inspire you to go ahead and become a writer too, or decide if it's not really for you based on what I tell you. I should also note that I can only speak from a non-fiction author perspective. I haven't written the fiction books, so that's an area I don't have an expertise in, so I'm sorry to leave y'all out in the rain, but it's just not something I can provide commentary on since I've never done it. This is for nonfiction. And the same applies for writing in general in terms of articles, etc. So what inspired me to become a writer is I was seeing a huge problem that's been growing and growing in society, and I was also a victim of this problem, which I'm going to share when we get into our 5 reasons. But I saw that people don't receive financial advice or good financial advice based on the key element in the equation, their personality. See, there are various techniques that work for me that might not work for you, and vice versa. And no one was really breaking it down like that. So I wanted to solve that problem. But a lot of people come out with a online course or something like that. And that might not be necessarily affordable for everyone. So I didn't want to do that. I'm not saying I'm never going to create an online course. In fact, I'm looking at creating one now. But I wanted to have something that could really fill that void and could be something that people could digest. And that's when the idea of writing a book came into play, and that's what inspired me to become a writer. So with that backstory laid down, that kind of goes into my first reason, which is writers have the ability to reach the masses of the people. Now this also goes for if you're a writer in terms of articles or like a freelancer. This applies too, but my personal experience is with a book, so I'm going to talk a little more about that. So what I mean by reach the mass of the people, let's swing back to what I just said. Online course, you could charge less for it, but usually people may not necessarily buy a cheap online course because in their mind it's not that valuable if it's not that much. And value is in the eyes of the beholder, but some people see that as such. And if you charge on the higher end, then not everyone is going to be able to afford it and get their problem solved. So to me, a book was the perfect way to reach the masses of the people and really implement that change so that people could start achieving financial success by using the assets of their personality. When it comes to information products, books tend to be the cheapest on the market. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if you see things that are cheaper than books that fit the information product range. But if we're being honest, books pack so much value for so little money. It's pretty crazy. They're very underrated in my opinion, but it's the perfect way to reach the masses of the people so that you can really solve that problem if the book is very well written and targeted to a specific problem in a specific person. So it's a way to reach the masses of the people when it comes to that problem, as opposed to some of the other methods where some people are going to get left behind. And this goes into the second reason, which is it's malleable. It's malleable both for you and for whoever you're serving. So if you have a skills as a writer, you can use those skills and be a freelance writer and write articles to make money while you're providing value to that audience. But let's say you don't want to do that. Let's say you want to go the author route like I did. Well, you can write a book and it can serve the audience like that. And you can make that book available in ebook because some people, they may not have a library. They don't want like a physical book, but they'll read the ebook. And you can go a step further and make that book available in audio form. So audiobook. So if they don't want to read it, like literally read it in any form, well, guess what? If they're a listener, which a lot of people are, they'll grab the audiobook. So it's so malleable that you can really serve your audience whatever way they want to consume that content. And for you as a writer, it's also very malleable because everything I just mentioned, you can do all those or you can just do one of them. And it really serves you because these are multiple streams of income. I mean, the freelance writer bit is an active source of income. And the other ways I mentioned, they're more closer to the passive side, but in different ways. I mean, me personally, The Anatomy of Financial Success is available on ebook, paperback, and audiobook. So whatever way people want to consume that content, it's available. And swinging back to reaching the masses of the people, it's just making it that much more available because people will pass up on getting your content if it's not in the form they want to consume. Some people just listen to audiobooks. If you don't have an audiobook, they're going to pass you up and not get their problem solved. And some people, they want the physical book. They want to highlight it and make notes and everything. They need that physical book. But if you don't offer that, they're going to pass up. And then some people just like ebooks. They don't like audiobooks or paperbacks. And if you don't have that, they're going to pass you up too. So you can just have everything available, and it's just so malleable. It's beautiful. Now, some actionable advice for this one is you do want to pick one starting out and kind of stick with it. And once that's done, then move on to the next ones. For me, it was, I got the paperback, that was finished, then the ebook, then the audiobook. And the paperback and the ebook can be switched up in terms of which one comes first. It's really up to you. Most people actually do the ebook first, but there's reasons why I did that. But I don't ever try and do the audiobook first because you need the script to be able to read the audiobook or give it to audiobook narrator. If you don't have that, it's not going to turn out pretty good. So the third reason I decided to become a writer and why you might want to consider it is if you have an untapped talent for writing. I remember when I was, I still am pretty big into health and wellness and fitness. But I'll say when my passion there was just starting off, I would write these little articles and give them to people that wanted to achieve like physical results in the gym. And I gave it to a personal trainer one day I met. I decided to give it to him because I wanted some feedback, like, hey, where can I make improvements? And he said, like, hey, well, I see you have some writing talent. Like, this is very well written. I kind of brushed it off as, okay, because I wasn't charging for this. I was doing this just because I wanted to help people. But later on in life, I really just sat down and thought about, like, he's right. I do have a writing talent. I didn't bring this up in the first two reasons, but you can also start a blog. In fact, the app Lifestyle is a good example of starting a blog. And you see on the app Lifestyle, as you see scrolling through the page right now, you see pictures, and you also see like Amazon products. Those are affiliate links, and I'm making money off of those. That's just a little side note. If you have a talent for writing, you could just be sitting on a major moneymaker, and it also could be a conduit for you to really get whatever it is you want to teach the world out. You don't have to be on video like I'm doing. This is just my preference. But you could be a writer and express what you want to teach that way. And speaking of teaching, this leads into the fourth reason why I became a writer and why you might want to consider it is it gradually builds you up to be an authority in your niche, whatever it is. So if you have content published on various publications, or if you have a best-selling book, that builds your authority in your niche. So if you do go the freelancing route, make sure you keep a record of all the publications you've done work for, just for your own personal records, because anything you want to do from that point on, you can just have this reference or catalog of articles that you've written. Some people underestimate this, but this really builds your authority up. And when you want to do later things in your brand, well, that authority is going to play a role. And on the book side, if you've been a best-selling author, that opens the door for podcast interviews, radio interviews, being interviewed by TV stations, maybe certain collaborations. People want to know that you're an authority in your niche, and a book is a great way to show that you are an authority in that niche. So bringing this back home, just your writing skills in general can really build you up to be an authority. And if you're building a business up, or just building your brand as a person, that can go a long way in terms of building leverage up that you can utilize in the future, and maybe even in the short term to some degree. But the fifth reason, and this for me is the biggest reason, now I would hope it'd be your biggest reason too, is easily 50% of like all the reasons. That percentage wise, it comes to this one, and it's straight up the mission. So when I was in my early 20s, I received some bad advice as far as what to do career-wise, and I didn't do things that were in line with my personality. So I was told like, hey, if you want to get into sales, you should get involved with network marketing. It'll teach you how this, that, etc. Or hey, if you want this, or hey, if you want to make a lot of money, then you got to go and work for this company because it's going to teach you this, etc. And I'm not saying any of those things are wrong. In fact, looking back, I wouldn't trade those experiences at all. But I wasn't the best of all that stuff initially. I learned to build my skills up to be close to being the best. But I'm looking at where I was and looking at what I do nowadays, which is making money online, using technology to my advantage because I've always had a skill set there. I'm very good at looking at things when it comes to attention to detail. If I would have started doing what I'm doing now, back then, I'd be a lot more successful now. And it all kind of falls back to that bad advice that I was given. And this advice was advice that was probably good for the people that was giving it to me, but it wasn't good for me because we had different personalities. Now, I don't want people to repeat that. I want people to achieve financial success as soon as possible so that they can enjoy the fruits of life. I don't want them to have to go through what I went through, because ultimately I learned what my skill sets were, my talents in my late 20s and started to monetize them. It would have been smoother if I just did that right away. So I want people to be able to do that right away instead of trying to do all this other stuff, which actually isn't necessary based on their personality. They have skill sets in other areas that can utilize it to make the most money they can. And once they get that money, they need to find out the right way to budget it based on their personality, their habits, and their patterns so they can get the best result and make sure that they're spending money all in the right places. See, it's a very customized approach to personal finance. And to my knowledge, there's no one out there doing it. I don't like to see young people waste so many years of their life trying to do things that they feel they have to do, but it's clearly not meant for them. It's outside their personality when they have skill sets in these other areas that they can use to make money. And once they get that money, they get so confused about how to budget it, how to make sure everything is covered as far as retirement, investments, saving money, paying bills, etc. And they hear 5 different techniques from 5 different people, just get confused like which one should I take. They need a filter so that they can take the parts that are good for them and filter out the parts that are bad for them. And that's what financial anatomy is all about. It's using that personality to your advantage so you can become financially successful. That's the mission statement. The best way that I saw that mission statement getting fulfilled was actually to become a writer. In this case, in the form of a book. And that book serves as a basis for most of Financial Anatomy's products today. So bringing this home to you, you need to decide what it is that you want to see changed in the world that's really becoming a problem in society. I mean, we all have something that we don't like. You just got to pick what it is and pick something you have a passion for. Then start learning about that and start typing away in terms of becoming a writer. Then you can bring the changes you want to see in the world into the world. And with that, that concludes my 5 reasons why I became a writer. And in hearing these, I really hope it inspires you to become a writer too, if you have that talent. And also to monetize that talent, because you may be struggling to make money and you're sitting on this skill set, which a lot of people wish they had, but they don't, and you have it. Hey, bring it out to its full potential. But that does it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below, as well as give a like to the video if you found value in it. I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to get out there and take control of your financial destiny.